Hi, welcome back to The Miserable Gamer. We're back playing some more Kona. If you remember in the last episode, we found out that our employer was dead, and that created a mystery for us to solve. We filled up our truck, and we've got to decide where to go next. So let's jump back in. Right, okay. I think what I'm going to do first, if I can, is double back to Roy's house. Because if the killer went anywhere, I think it would be there because it was closest to the. I'm assuming the killer was in the other car. So it makes sense he didn't go to the nearest house. So let's go there. Note from Jian Roy. We fled. It was getting too dangerous. More people live in northern Manistan. It'll be safer there.
It was a classic Canadian house, except for the absent horde of kids that would normally be swarming about.
Matthew had yet to add murderer to his curriculum. He was fond of new experiences, especially the most thrilling ones, and taking the life of a flesh-and-blown individual, who the night before was still able to think, dream, fantasize, calculate, read, held the promise of exhilarating sensations. Unlike Raskolnikov, it wasn't about axing an old Jewish hag to pieces to test some lunatic theory. Not at all. Matthew just wanted to know how it felt. It seemed so simple. Horribly simple. He didn't have any particular victim in mind. Like most people, his desires ran quite wildly, so he only had a vague idea of them in mind. He pondered using a rifle or a knife, assassinating a young girl or an old man. He tried to focus on practicability. His victim would have to be defenseless. Bodybuilding wasn't exactly Matthew's strong suit. He would have to act spontaneously, but not too much. He wasn't that eager to learn what spending the rest of his life in prison would be like. Some experiences carry just too high a cost to be worth it, really. Oh, lovely. Oh, we have power. Turn the flashlight out. Phones are still dead. Some fire starter.
The photograph was snapped not too far from here, Carl noticed. The couple seemed to be very good friends. The couple radiated something akin to lightheartedness, to freedom. Perhaps some people out there truly found a way to live happily ever after. A picture of Wilfred in his youth. Carl figured right away that the man must have been some kind of wildlife officer.
Painkillers. Kitty litter. A fantasy page too. It was around that time that Theo met Beatrice, of mediocre beauty at best, the girl with her distinctive features, cheeks covered with large pox-like freckles, Dew nose, oily forehead, tired but vibrant eyes, shaded red hair, slender as a child body, chirpy laugh. You name it, it was the very image of innocence. That happened to be precisely the kind of victim Matthias was picturing in his mind, though. One night he was contemplating the ceiling from his bed. He swore to himself again and again, "I'll kill her." His dreams were later filled with images of the imminent crime. He'd come up with a simple enough plan. One fine evening he would visit her place, to become familiar with the area's intricacies and feel closer to the impending murder, to slowly dig into Beatrice's thoughts, desires, dreams and abilities. This way he would be able to get a concrete sense of what his sinister deed would be stripping away from the very fabric of life. The whole thing would take 2 days, a week at most. This guy's disturbed. Carnopoly. You win if you pass go. The fantasy, page 4. Where's page 3? Fantasy, page 3. The first time he met Beatrice, however, she unexpectedly revealed her troubled origins to Matthias. She was adopted at the age of 4, and recalling her former life still gave her a hard time. She played the piano in so graceful a manner that people often thought that she may be the natural offspring of a musical virtuoso. She always cried before falling asleep, torn from the inside by a dreadful pain she couldn't explain. She confided in him so profoundly Matthias couldn't get enough, coming back every night to learn every single thing that would come out of that delicate mouth after pulling one last breath out of it. Every night he reflected on what the death of Beatrice would mean in terms of losses to humanity's common heritage, be it the sound of her sobbing or of her piano melodies, the compulsive tapping of her long index finger on her temple when she harboured dark thoughts, or any other little thing. It didn't matter. Everything would indiscriminately vanish. Everything. All these thoughts made for some blissful slumbers indeed, and the days became weeks, and before he knew it, it was Matthias's turn to throw his secrets at her, his hopes, his cries of despair, as if throwing coins in a wishing well. She'll be dead by the end of the month, he promised himself. Oh, I've lost that page. It must be in my... There it is.
A murderer's diary. Carl's detective training compelled him to write some excerpts down. What sort of monster could give life to such a bizarre tale?
The two lovebirds were still going at it 7 months later, though, confiding fears and desires alike near the fireplace several days a week. The populace took notice, and wounding words eventually found their way to Matthias's ear, prompting him to take action to prove his gentlemanship. He had to ask Beatrice's hand in marriage. He would have more than enough time to kill her later. Today, when Matthias stares at the motionless ceiling, just like he did 20 years ago, he still wonders what he would be removing from existence by slitting Beatrice's throat, what he would be depriving his children of. Then, as if he's soothed by the fantasy, he gently drifts off, smiling the night away. So he didn't go through with the murder. Some bullets. Nothing at the back. I don't like it. Right. Let's move on to the next property. Gotta find somebody awake. Somebody who's still around. Beddards.
Carl was no burglar. He didn't need to resort to petty techniques such as window breaking to find his way in. A good detective simply looks for keys where gullible souls hide them. What was even the point of locking your door if everyone hid their key in the same place? Carl was starting to feel like his investigator life lacked challenge. The house smelled like incense, the kind that reminds you of the good Lord, of peace. Religion was very influential throughout Quebec many years ago. Indeed, it was surprising that Carl did not come across a single chapel since arriving here.
How did they draw the sun? TV is on the other side. Yes. Right, start from left to right. Firelighters. Could have sworn I just heard something. Attach wire. No sound on the line. Polaroid film. Alright, so we do need to eat then at some point.
The family's mother must have spent her days washing the filth off her kids' diapers. The empty cradle sent an eerie feeling down Carl's spine, as if minutes ago someone just grabbed the baby and made a run for it. Love of religion and ancestors was rooted deep inside the hearts of Canadians of old, to which the Bedards appeared to be closely related. Who knew that giraffes thrived in the North Pole? The craze for toys was stupefying.
I have a diary just like...
Bedard had without a doubt been the closest man in the village to William Hamilton, otherwise known as Uncle Willie.
August 16th. I have a diary, just like Mum. Unlike her, though, I don't wear a long face when writing, but I do love to write my thoughts. And about Martin most of all. I love talking about him. I think he loves me too. Just like in Romeo and Juliet, people don't like it when I see him, only because he's ablaze. Just like in the story, nothing can stand in the way of true love. August 18th. I lost appetite. I can't sleep anymore. Every waking hour, intense shivers run through my body. Dad's making me see Dr. Beaupre, with his big hands touching me everywhere, his foul breath exhaling all over my face. Yuck. I'm not sick, I'm in love. I love Martin so much, there's nothing I like better than thinking about us playing together like we always do. I wonder if he found the key I lost the other day. He was pretty sad when I did, because it's for his dad's garden shed, and Martin has always been afraid of him. I think Martin's dad is a bit like Dad's god. The key fell in a burrow next to the shed. Poor Martin, he cried like a baby, but I still love him. August 24th. How many pages are there? August 24th. Mum often cries when she feels lonely. I think there's no reason for her to cry. Mum can be stupid sometimes. Dad works a lot because of that wealthy Englishman buying everything. But that's what notaries do. They make sure that people get what they're paying for, basically. It's complicated, but that's how Dad explained it to me. The rich guy doesn't look half as bad as Martin told me he was. When I saw him this morning at Dad's office, he told me, "Call me Uncle Willie." I found that pretty funny. Plus, he gave me candy. Okay, it was a kind of old, dry, but still candy. I think Dad gets along with Uncle Willie because when he's with him, he laughs the same way he does with Father Label. I had to gobble up Dr. Beaupre's horrible medicine because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have made it to Christmas, or so he said. I haven't seen Martin in weeks, nor did I go to school for that matter. Dad has been praying beside my bed every morning for a while now, and at bedtime too. Today he went hunting with Uncle Willie, and he asked me to ask God to bless him in my prayers. I think this has to do with the medicine that only the richest or rich can afford. Dad told me that he'll be praying for Uncle Willie until the day he dies, and that I should do the same. God, Father Label, and now Uncle Willie. I wonder when Dad finds the times to pray for Santa Claus. September 28th. How can Mum be so stupid? And she's getting fat too. She cries like a newborn puppy all the time. It's so annoying. I came across Martin today. He seemed pretty thin and he may be kind of dirty. He didn't look as neat and presentable as Uncle Willie, that's for sure.
Carl wasn't desperate enough to invade a village woman's privacy. Dreamcatchers originated from First Nations legends. They were used to trap nightmares.
So I know I don't need to turn all the lights off, but oh, that noise is all the stuff closing behind me. Enough food for rough times.
A true Catholic always strives to keep lowly temptations at bay. Obviously, Carl thought, someone in this house wasn't doing a good job at upholding the Holy Bible's teachings. An aging car was parked here. Carl could picture the notary's heavy sedan with a huge back seat large enough to fit the whole family.
I still don't know what that eyeball means.
Carl, ever diligent in his work, always carried his log on him, in which he scribbled down thoughts and leads alike during the course of his investigations.
Right, my client is dead. Everything's gone wrong. That's my luck. An envelope torn, addressed to the Secret Service. Right, so I can easily trace back the chain of events. Hamilton wants me to send a very confidential denunciation letter to the Secret Service in Ottawa. He is planning on sending the letter inside of a locked box and send the key separately. It's cumbersome, but he's doing what he can. But something throws him off while he's in a hurry. He locks everything and mails the key, but the box somehow ends up in his killer's hands.
It was so cold. Already Carl did not feel his toes anymore.
Can't be hovering around outside, can I? Should be reading that in here. Right. Looks like there's another house up on that. Ugh, can't see a damn thing. Loading. Always loading. Alright, so my heat's down to half. Hell is that? The chance. Is that a flaming arrow?
The crossbow bolt stuck into the wooden stairs reminded Carl of the arrow that was said to have hit Achilles' heel. But who was the intended Achilles this time?
I think we might have to light a fire in this place.
The air was freezing, right down to the bone. The otherworldly ice had struck again. The woman's hopes and dreams were frozen in eternity. Something was hidden under the stairs.
Hidden panel under the stairs.
The man grabbed his rifle. Carl felt a sense of dread in him.
Bertrand LeChance, 1948.
Perhaps their spousal relationship had been cooling down lately. It seemed like secrecy was commonplace in this house. The vision's veil was lifted, and he was back to reality. A reality in which Giselle, Jill's loving spouse, was motionless, frozen in ice.
I'm gonna get a fire going so I can warm my foot. So I can read Giselle's diary. September. Mother once told me when I first met Jill's that I hadn't picked the brightest bulb of the lot, and as the years fly by, I'm seeing the truth of her words. Always trust your mother's wisdom. That Blake Manning scheme is a prime example of Jill's brightness. He's like a small dog. He thinks he's bigger than he actually is. He growls, genuinely think he's scary, but everyone knows he can be pushed aside with just a little kick. He truly believes he can blackmail Hamilton, the big boss himself. It's going to be a long time in hell before my poor Jill can manage to pull off such a feat. After all, Hamilton's a rich, learned and influential man. Not only is that blackmailing idea Is that blackmailing idea bad to begin with? Let's be honest, Gilles is way out of his league, but Gilles doesn't know how he's actually going to carry this out. I don't even think he ever would. He's just throwing random threats about loud in the kitchen. He says he'll do it eventually. But I know better. Successful blackmailing requires masterful cunning, and Gilles is a master of nothing. He's a slave and forever will be. I often look at that safe he keeps hidden in the fake wall, in which he stores all those incriminating documents he intends to use, and I just can't come to grips with the sheer ridiculousness of the whole thing. It is true that Hamilton would still have to figure out the combination of the safe, where everything is hidden. Only problem is Gilles himself tends to forget the combination. He has a trick to help him remember. His father's first initial, followed by 3 numbers I had to engrave behind his pendant. Who could possibly have a hard time remembering 3 simple numbers but my Gilles? Gilles has a trouble sleeping. He will flail his arms and legs in his sleep. I told him this blackmail business would be hard on him, but that's the problem with idiots. They always think they're the smartest person around, no matter how hard you try to shake them. Hamilton will find out, and then we're done for. We'll have to move to Valador, or live with the small fry. I'm shaking as I write this. I cannot believe I've taken part in this tragedy. I haven't done anything, so why do I feel so guilty? Poor girl, she was so young. Right, so it's his father's first initial, followed by 3 numbers I had to grave behind his pendant.
Looks like the holes in that puzzle are there to stay. The pot was cold, and the stew inside wasn't cooked. It's likely that poor Giselle was slow cooking it before she got snapped. What a waste. Moving. What a pleasant activity. Of course, you'll find the record player only to find the records weeks later in some random box.
So it's B.
It felt like old people were all these walls could see for years. The Lachances could hardly be blamed for wanting to freshen things up a bit.
Chez Lachance.
The general store, along with several more infrastructures in the area, had been acquired by wealthy industrialist William J. Hamilton. Perhaps the village should be rechristened Hamiltown.
Chez Lachance changes hands. Founded by Bertrand Lachance more than 20 years ago, the general store, better known as Chez Lachance, is one of Manistan's economic mainstays. Since the passing of its aged owner, however, business wasn't as blooming as it once was. Gilles Lachance, inheritor of the humble establishment, had no choice but to sell everything to William Hamilton, the rich and famous businessman who sparked a major controversy last year when he announced the reopening and expansion of his copper mine. As of now, operations at the general store are expected to remain unchanged. Despite the change of hands, Gilles Lachance still helms the register. We're looking for a pendant.
What a mess. Clearly, there was some major revamping work underway here. The place looked barely habitable. Beautiful portrait of Gilles and Giselle, bound together by the chains of conventional love.
So where's his pendant then? really need to get into that safe because we need those documents. I wonder where his pendant is then. Ah! A strange vision I had when I got near the ice is puzzling. My investigative brain keeps focusing on the small detail that may be pointless. Necklace with the number 739 engraved on it. There we go. Right. So this is going to be...
Carl had seen that kind of safe before. With its double-layered security system blending letters and numbers, its code couldn't be broken by the common burglar.
There we go. Compromising document. William Hamilton is a crook. He has been blackmailing everyone in the village, myself included, like the infamous Seraphine Poudriere. In this document is proof of every bribe paid by Hamilton to the federal authorities in regard to the acquisition of his damn mine. The fact that he has used his henchmen to instill terror within the village will not sway the tribunals down in Montreal, but the fact that he has been bribing government officials surely will. I can already picture it making the front page. The English are all the same. We will prevail. Written with different ink. Hamilton is not only a crook but a murderer. I do not believe in his remorse. I firmly believe he will pay for his crime. I do not believe in native magic, but I do believe in their vengeance. And that's it. Alright, so did Jill kill? No, I don't want that. The hunt. A strange hunt is underway in the village, and the crossbow bolts left behind are disturbing to say the least. They seem to glow as if they were constantly being heated by fire, without that fire spreading from where it struck. How is this possible? I'm not too worried about that right now. Crash. A cold mystery. Where is the snow coming from? They say fall is an unpredictable season. They say the fall is an unpredictable season, but this is something else. I saw some very weird ice earlier that seemed to be lit up from within. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know the chemical process in which pictures reveal invisible prints. I have to say it looks entirely supernatural. A man turned to ice. This image is shocking. This is what happens around here if you're not dressed for the weather. Strange vision I had when I got near the ice is puzzling. My investigative brain, blah blah blah. There should be one for the journal. The general store manager's wife Giselle Lahant's frozen. What freezer is behind all this? Right, where are we going to go next? I think we're going to go left out of the store. And down on that peninsula there. Loading. Okay, it seems to be some sort of medical station to the left here. Loading. Dr. Buper's clinic. A man that sounds like he might be a little bit of a child molester. Anything in there? Key. Thank you.
There should be a law forbidding doctors from falling sick.
Medical emergency in town. The doctor there is sick. I'll be back soon. If he dies, I won't be returning. I'll have to replace him.
In spite of Dr. Beaupre's goodwill, the place didn't look much like a physician's office. It could easily be mistaken for a sewing shop. The good doctor, flanked by his beautiful spouse. Pure happiness, captured on cardstock. Carl recognized this woman's soulful eyes. Was it Dr. Beaupre who had hit him head-on at the village border?
Unknown woman. I never did quite catch her name. The men called her Laurie. She had a neck wound. There was so much blood. The bullet had done a lot of damage, probably hitting the cerebellum. It was hopeless. She had a cardiac arrest. The men had found her like this, they said. I doubt it. But in a small town like this, it's usually best to turn a blind eye. I've been told to step back from sending out the death certificate. This whole thing sickens me. Rosaire Armand. No medical explanation whatsoever can explain why old Rosaire is still alive. As we in the trade say, the only way to cure him is to kill him. Sylvie Bedard. All of her symptoms point to the same root cause. She's pregnant. She refuses it. She denies it. I'm willing to bet her husband is not the father. Let's just hope it's not Everett Lockhart, though, or she would have an illegitimate child and syphilis on her hands.
There was no doubt that the doctor and Hamilton knew each other very well.
William Joseph Hamilton. Haughty, can't be cured. Chronic foot pain, can't walk long distances. Rich, I'll cure him of that one day. Some painkillers.
Dr. Beaupre had done his medical studies quite far from here. He was surely one of the first students out of the new campus to settle on the mountainside.
Communist Manifesto.
A Communist Manifesto. Only a few years ago, this type of allegiance meant prison time. And even at present, the Western world was very wary of the Soviet threat. Why would the doctor own such a book? Nobody kills a rich patient to start a revolution. It didn't make any sense. He had to dig deeper still to understand. Luckily, that was Carl Faubert's specialty.
History of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles, freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guild master and journeyman, in a word, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition to one another, carried out on an uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstitution of society at large or in the common ruin of the contending classes. In the earlier epochs of history, we find almost everywhere a complicated arrangement of society into various orders, a manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome we had the patricians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guildmasters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs. In almost all of these classes, again, subordinate gradations.
Someone had lost a few liters of blood here. Carl's first thought had been a lumber accident, someone's hand cut by a saw, or a hunting accident. In any case, whoever had lost all this blood couldn't have gone far. Perhaps they were already dead. A chamber pot. Fortunately for Carl, inspecting it wouldn't further this particular investigation.
My nightmare. Yeah. You and me both, mate.
Carl got the trembles as he imagined the excruciating pain that kind of scalpel could no doubt inflict. Within these miserable walls, patients probably felt more like in a slaughterhouse than in a doctor's office.
Don't have a bottle to fill. Attach wire. Why does it keep asking me to attach wire to thimbles and bobbins and stuff? Matches.
For the one-eyed, or for other vision problems, the eye patch was the way to go.
It's a weird arrangement of logs out the back there. Isabel Bupay, so she's dead. When locking a door isn't enough. What? Does that mean it was nailed shut? Duct tape, always handy. It's like bear paws. Right, moving on. So we've got the next house is up on the right. But I think we're going to have to leave it there, so I'm going to go inside. Carl's inventory is full. Oh great, so we've got that to deal with now. Start a fire, save the game. Right, so the mystery deepens. Not a lot I can say at the moment. Could be the doctor who's the killer. He certainly sounds like he might have the inclination. Excuse me, might have the inclination to do so. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying that. Please leave please hit the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying this, and please leave a comment below. Let me know how I'm doing. Enable those notifications so you get informed of any videos that I put out. And I hope you see you in the next one. See you later.